Welcome to Time Capsule, where we analyze history to find lessons worth learning. Today we're going to discuss the life of Napoleon Bonaparte. We're going to talk about Napoleon and his lasting impact on Europe. And also, we're going to discuss what he accomplished in a short 51 years. Napoleon was born on August 15th, 1769, on the island of Corsica, which was under French rule at the time. He came from a minor noble family and received a military education in mainland France. When he was in the military academy in France, he was bullied because of his funny accent. Also, his family was not wealthy. It's important to note that even though they were descended from nobility, they were rather poor. In 1785, he graduated from the military academy in Paris and became a second lieutenant in the French army. During the French Revolution, Napoleon rose through the ranks quickly due to his military skills and leadership abilities. In 1799, he led a coup d'etat and became the first consul of France, consolidating his power. He became an emperor in effect, or soon would be, because he's going to conquer much of modern day Europe. From 1800 to 1814, Napoleon engaged in a series of conflicts known as the Napoleonic Wars, seeking to expand French influence and establish dominance in Europe. He won a series of military victories, including the famous Battle of Austerlitz in 1805, which established him as one of the greatest military strategists of his time. Napoleon conquered vast territories, including parts of Italy, Austria, Prussia, and Spain, and established a puppet regime in many European countries. These were not all well received either, the rulers at the time. I believe in Spain there was an insurrection because of the ruler that he appointed there. And in 1804, he crowned himself Emperor of the French. And this is where he was truly the emperor, not, as I misspoke earlier, when he was just the consul. This signified a shift from the French Republic to an empire under his rule. As a ruler, Napoleon implemented a series of domestic reforms known as the Napoleonic Code or the Civil Code, which standardized laws and provided equality before the law. This may not sound something so groundbreaking or anything like that to modern day individuals, but it formed the basis for a lot of things that we are still using today. He centralized power and modernized the French administration, implementing educational, economic, and infrastructure reforms. Napoleon's military expansion and the wars eventually led to coalitions forming against France, resulting in his downfall. This isn't surprising at all, though, because of his continuous plans for expansion. And to be honest, though, I would say that even if Napoleon hadn't won in France, or even if Napoleon had won in France and stayed there within the current French territory or kingdom, as it were, at the time, he probably would have still been challenged, or people would have attempted to overthrow him. Just because of the threat of the spread of democracy or Napoleon's influence into other countries, and what a threat that represented to the monarchies then. And the same genius that allowed him to succeed in his military battles up to this point also was the same genius that led to his downfall. He had a particularly disastrous campaign in Russia, which was many people speak about today, where where he led 600,000 men into Russia, and because of he didn't expect the Russian winter, only 100,000 came out. There's more to the Russian campaign than that, I would say. There's probably another name for it as well, but that Napoleon fought. But it's particularly noteworthy because of how this particularly impacted him and his forces, and eventually led to his downfall. I would say that it's a significant contributing factor. In 1814, he was forced to abdicate the throne and was exiled to the island of Elba. However, he escaped from Elba in 1815 and returned to France for a brief period known as the 100 Days. He was eventually defeated at the Battle of Waterloo in June 1815, and he was subsequently exiled to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic, where he spent the rest of his life in confinement and died. And if you look at St. Helena, it's nowhere near the European mainland, and that was done on purpose, I would say, because of the difficulty to get to Napoleon and also to transport him back. Now, what can we take away from his life? His impact on Europe and the world was profound. His military strategies, administrative reforms, and legal code influenced numerous subsequent rulers and governments. Napoleon's ambitious expansionist policies and the scale of the Napoleonic Wars had a significant influence on European history and the subsequent balance of power on the continent. It's interesting that France at this time was so powerful, when if you take a look at the following world wars, the French were not really that powerful if you look at it, though. The people that they conquered were far more powerful, like the Italians and the Germans. And some of the things that can be said for Napoleon that are worthwhile to note are his ability to embrace opportunity and to take risks, because he was born into the period of the French Revolution. And he was the right man for the job, so to speak, because of his military training and ambition. And he took calculated risks to be able to act decisively and move forward with his plans. But the very thing that led him to succeed was the thing that was his downfall, though, I would say. Because if you took away his success in excess, or perhaps his battlefield genius at the time that won him the early victories, I think that another general may have not made the same mistakes that he did. But the one thing I really wanted to touch upon was the fact that he was born in 1769 and died in 1821. And he only lived a short 51 years. During that time, he was able to rise from a second lieutenant in the French military to the Emperor of France. Now, this was due in part to the social climate and the political environment that he was in. But we also have to consider the fact that he had the training and ambition to seize that opportunity and accomplish so much by his 51st year. And I just thought that it would be worthwhile to consider what opportunities are available to us today in the world that we live in that we could seize on or prepare for today. I think that opportunity is available all around us today in most modern Western countries, I should say. You just have to look and prepare. Thank you.